Raise your head and feel the surge of possibility pulsing through your body. This is your rallying cry. You stand at a precipice, moment by moment, sensing that your breakthrough is close enough to taste. The world might want to keep you quiet, to drown out that whisper of urgency in your soul, but you refuse to be silenced. This is not a passive invitation. It's a challenge to every chosen one who knows it's time to break free from the routines that blur your passion. A vivid sign is about to manifest. Something silver will catch your eye right after these words take hold, and you'll know it's not random. It's proof that your life is shifting in real time. If you accept this call, like this video, subscribe and comment 77 foot so you step boldly into the awakening that waits for you. Chapter 1. A sign that breaks the rhythm. In the quiet of your everyday world, you might have stopped noticing life's small surprises. Days seem to pass in a predictable cycle. The alarm, the coffee, the commute, the same conversations. But something unexplainable is about to rupture that rhythm. Keep your eyes open because you, as a chosen one, will spot a flash of silver when you least expect it. This brief, shimmering interruption might reveal itself on a delivery truck gliding by, or in the form of unexpected jewelry. Whatever shape it takes, it serves as a jolt to your senses, a glint that stirs you from complacency. You might be tempted to dismiss it at first. After all, a person can see dozens of reflective surfaces in a single day. But the moment you glimpse that particular piece of silver, there will be an internal clarity. Something inside you vibrates as though an invisible chord got struck. This isn't a generic sign from the universe. It's more direct. It's as if you're receiving a nudge that your next step is waiting, your next direction is forming, and your gut has known it all along. The real challenge is trusting that this small, shimmering detail is more than a coincidence. For too long, you've been conditioned to brush aside subtle hints. You've been taught that only big, dramatic events deserve your attention, so you disregard the little signals, like glimpses of silver on an ordinary day. The paradox is that these fleeting moments often hold the most critical clues. They're codes that speak to the deeper layers of your intuition. If you lean in and acknowledge them, you start to see a pattern. Each sign, each slight nod from reality, leads you to consider paths you didn't think existed. Recognizing these signals requires a willingness to break from autopilot. How many times have you traveled your daily route without noticing the color of the sky or the faces you pass on the sidewalk? The mission now is to snap out of that trance. The next time you see something distinctly silver, maybe a ring on a stranger's finger or a reflection in a window, pause for a moment. Let your thoughts and senses converge. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? What have I been hesitant to pursue or to release? These questions are not rhetorical. They cut straight to the heart of whatever next chapter has been quietly calling your name. People around you might not grasp why a little flash of color in your environment matters so much. They could even joke about your new fixation. But you, being the chosen one, recognize that subtle cues often carry the greatest weight. The outside world rarely sees the internal shifts that set your soul on fire. So you observe in silence, gradually shifting your perspective, aware that the journey often begins with noticing the unnoticed. It won't be a single moment that changes everything. It's the accumulation of them. Think of these sightings as puzzle pieces. One shimmering glimpse doesn't complete the picture, but if you collect them all, a grander design emerges. The process can feel both exhilarating and unnerving. You might wonder if you're inventing meanings where there are none. Yet deep down, you recognize an internal resonance that feels too strong to ignore. You sense that part of you has awakened from a long slumber and now refuses to be put back to sleep. Skepticism is natural. Maybe you've had experiences before where you misread a sign or pinned your hopes on a coincidence that led nowhere. But if you look closer, it's never truly nowhere. Each perceived dead end taught you lessons, sharpened your discernment, and got you to refine what you're looking for. Even so-called failures can position you perfectly for the moment when real, tangible momentum arrives. That's what makes each flash of silver so vital. It's not about quick answers. It's about guiding you to the next rung on the ladder. Allow yourself to stay open. If your rational mind tries to dismiss the significance of these small wonders, gently remind yourself that the greatest changes can start with the smallest shifts in awareness. A single step can lead to a marathon if you keep moving forward. Each day, reaffirm your willingness to see the extraordinary embedded in the ordinary. Because for a chosen one, life's greatest tipping points seldom come with loud fanfare. They often arrive quietly in a soft shimmer that only the truly attentive will notice. Chapter 2. Why Silver Matters Now. It might seem odd that silver, of all things, plays such a pivotal role in your current reality. Gold, with its universal allure, often steals the spotlight, but there's a reason this message emphasizes silver instead. As a chosen one, you find yourself at a crossroads where appearances can be deceptive. And it's those second-place metals, the overlooked or underrated details that hold your key to transformation. In many ways, silver is a reflection of that principle. It's valuable and enduring, but often overshadowed by the flash of gold. Your attention could have been captured by a silver car glinting in traffic or a piece of silver cutlery at a cafe. It might even be a seemingly random coincidence, like finding a silver coin in an unlikely spot. What matters is how it forces you to pause. This is a moment to reflect on whether you've been overlooking parts of your life that, while not gilded with the first place trophy, hold real meaning and durability. Perhaps you spent years chasing things that shine on the surface without noticing the silent, steadfast elements that lie beneath. In the quiet spaces of your mind, you might realize that silver stands for something consistent, resilient, and flexible. It's known for conducting energy and light, a humble amplifier that doesn't always demand the spotlight. Think about your own journey. Have you been diminishing your own worth because you're not the loudest or most obviously shining presence in the room? Like silver, your strength might be in your adaptability, your reflective quality, your ability to endure under pressure without rusting away. People around you might have expected you to aim for the gold standard in every aspect of life. Maybe you've shouldered that burden, trying to be the best at everything, contorting yourself to fit roles that never felt completely right. There's value in striving for excellence, but not if it means losing yourself in someone else's idea of success. This is where the silver hint becomes a wake-up call. It reminds you that your worth is not exclusively tied to external accolades. Real value can be found in the attributes that come so naturally to you that you barely notice them, like empathy, loyalty, or creativity under stress. These silver-like traits might not dazzle immediately, but they anchor you when life's storms roll in. As you adopt this perspective, you start noticing that your environment is peppered with silver references you once ignored. A friend might casually mention a silver-themed event. You could notice an article referencing silver as an investment or spot an ad showcasing silver-themed art. Each sighting is a gentle prod, encouraging you to reevaluate how you measure success and significance. The invitation here is not to belittle gold, but to remember that sometimes a second-place symbol can be your hidden superpower, an unpretentious source of immense energy and stability. In practical terms, the emphasis on silver may push you to reevaluate your day-to-day. Are there neglected passions you've sidelined because they didn't promise immediate glory? Are there relationships that feel steady and reliable, yet you've taken them for granted while pursuing more glamorous connections? This is where the real test begins. Identifying the silver in your life means sifting through your priorities, obligations, and desires to rediscover the overlooked gems. It might also mean making hard choices, like stepping away from commitments that only fed your ego while ignoring your deeper sense of purpose. This process isn't always comfortable. As a chosen one, you're used to forging ahead, occasionally leaving pieces of yourself behind because you believe the next trophy is what truly counts. Now you might feel a growing restlessness about continuing that pattern. You sense that it's time to build a legacy rooted in authenticity rather than applause. The real gold medal, ironically, might be discovered in the silver threads of your life, the consistent joys, skills, and connections that remain even when the buzz of achievement fades. There's no guarantee that this revelation will bring immediate gratification. In fact, you might initially feel a pang of regret for not realizing sooner that your true strength lay just off-center of where you've been looking. Still, Regret can transform into gratitude once you recognize that the timing is perfect. You weren't ready to see silver's beauty until now. All those experiences, even the misguided ones, shape the lens through which you now see this crucial distinction. As you lean into this perspective, you begin to develop a deeper sense of grounding. You find that your decision-making grows clearer, unclouded by the incessant need to impress. You start to experience a calmer confidence, reminiscent of silver's quiet shine. The next steps you take may still challenge you, but they'll do so without dragging you into the kind of emotional whirlpool you experienced when you chased external validation. Now you're building a life that suits your intrinsic nature, a life that mirrors silver's subtle yet impactful glow. Chapter 3. When the unexpected calls you out. Every now and then, even the most vigilant chosen one stumbles into a moment that feels orchestrated to snap you out of your routine. Maybe you were on your way to an ordinary errand when you saw a silver object you couldn't ignore. Or it arrived in your inbox, a message from an old friend referencing something silver you once shared. These moments can be jarring, as if reality decided to stop you in your tracks and demand, "Are you paying attention?" This jolt often comes at inconvenient times. You might be exhausted from juggling personal and professional obligations or overwhelmed by emotional baggage you've been hauling for too long. That's exactly when you need a wake-up call the most, when you're knee-deep in the kind of monotony that erodes your passion and sense of wonder. It's like life is telling you to look up from your to-do list and remember there's more going on than your tunnel vision allows you to see. What's particularly startling is how this sign can arise from the very fabric of your daily grind. You might be in the midst of routine chores when the flash of silver crosses your field of vision. So out of place that you pause. In that pause, you become aware of all the things you've been repressing or setting aside. Perhaps you recall a dream you once held dear but forgot in the haste of growing up. Or you remember a promise you made to yourself not to settle for less than you deserve. This confrontation with the unexpected can unlock a trove of memories and realizations that your daily busyness kept dormant. That moment of recognition can stir up conflicting feelings. Part of you might feel a flicker of excitement, a rush of adrenaline that signals you're standing at the threshold of something new. Another part might recoil in apprehension. After all, change can be unsettling. You've possibly grown comfortable in your routines, even if they sometimes feel suffocating. Now here's a sign telling you that your comfort zone is about to be breached. The question is whether you'll greet this intrusion with curiosity or with denial. The ripple effect extends beyond just your mental state. Sometimes your environment starts to mirror your internal shift. You can notice that after seeing that silver sign, odd coincidences line up, like hearing a friend talk about a travel opportunity that piques your interest or encountering a job posting that aligns strangely well with a long-buried ambition. When these pieces start to form a puzzle, ignoring them becomes harder. You suspect that these synchronicities aren't random, that they point toward a storyline you can either embrace or reject. Of course, embracing it means stepping into the unknown. You might need to let go of routines that, while stifling, have become your safety net. Maybe you'll have to speak up in relationships where you've been silent or invest time in learning a skill you once considered impractical. These leaps can be messy. They may upset the fragile balance you've maintained among family, friends, or coworkers. But that's the nature of responding to a higher call. It often collides with what's comfortable. People in your circle might not understand why you're paying attention to subtle signs when there are more pressing, tangible problems to solve. They could dismiss your newfound direction as daydreaming or label you impulsive for considering changes based on a random flash of silver. But here's the thing. They don't share your vantage point. They didn't feel that internal resonance when the sign appeared, nor did they sense the invisible shift in the air. You did. And as a chosen one, you can't ignore the intuition that surges whenever reality winks in your direction. Naturally, caution has its place. Not every nudge is an invitation to upend your life. Yet there's a marked difference between caution and avoidance. Caution weighs possibilities and moves forward with a calculated sense of risk. Avoidance refuses to move at all, paralyzed by fear of the unknown. The sign you've encountered is pushing you away from avoidance, urging you to make a decision. Even if that decision is to observe, gather more information, and then act. The worst choice is inaction fueled by doubt, because that's how you slip back into the dull loop you were in before the wake-up call. In the days following this unexpected jolt, you might feel more alive than you have in a while. Colors seem brighter, conversations more meaningful. You're no longer coasting, you're alert to the possibilities swirling around you. This heightened awareness can be both thrilling and disorienting, especially if you see yourself as pragmatic or level-headed. But sometimes logic alone can't capture the magnitude of what's unfolding. Sometimes your heart, your instincts, and your soul need room to speak. This is just the start, though. The unexpected call that found you is not the entire story. It's the opener to a new chapter. What you do with it is entirely up to you. Dismiss it, and life may continue on its current path, comfortable yet bland. Embrace it, and you open a door that leads to experiences you couldn't plan for if you tried. The challenge is whether you let your old patterns overshadow your new awareness or allow this wake-up call to spark a genuine transformation. You have the key. The question is whether you'll use it. Chapter 4. The Quiet Urgency of Inner Change. All the subtle signs in the world, even that flash of silver, won't help if you're determined to remain the same. The real pivot lies in the quiet urgency building inside you, that persistent feeling that you need to evolve or risk stagnating. It's less about forcing a dramatic external shift and more about recognizing the internal tension that's been mounting. As a chosen one, you sense it, a pulsating demand for growth that, if ignored, becomes a restless ache. This sense of urgency usually starts as a murmur. You might wake up one day and feel a slight dissatisfaction you can't quite name. It might manifest in restlessness during moments that once brought you peace. Slowly, it creeps into your thoughts until you can't brush it aside any longer. On the surface, nothing might appear wrong. You could be meeting responsibilities, maintaining relationships, and even achieving outward goals. Yet beneath that facade, you yearn for something deeper, more aligned with who you truly are. Our culture often discourages such introspection. We're conditioned to keep pushing forward, to acquire, to achieve, to stay busy, rather than pause to examine whether our trajectory matches our inner needs. Even if you raise the topic with friends or family, they might advise you to count your blessings or avoid rocking the boat. The irony is that ignoring this calling to change can do more harm than good. Suppressing your inner voice risks creating a life that looks successful on the outside, but feels hollow at its core. This is where the theme of silver reappears in a subtler form. It's not just about noticing physical silver objects. It's also about recognizing the silver lining in your growing discomfort. That unease, that restless energy, can become your greatest ally, if you let it. It propels you to question your current state and to explore untapped possibilities. It's a sign that you're not content with a surface-level existence. By diving into the silver zone of your own heart, you discover qualities, passions, and aspirations that have been waiting to emerge. Embracing this quiet urgency often involves dismantling old self-definitions. You may have told yourself you're not creative, not brave, or not spiritual. Yet the push you feel from within challenges these labels. Maybe you've spent a decade believing you're unsuited for leadership, only to find yourself starting a project or community initiative. These contradictions surface precisely because your authentic self won't be stifled forever. The friction between your old identity and your emerging one can be uncomfortable, but it also indicates you're on the brink of meaningful transformation. A common pitfall is to assume that inner change must be accompanied by an immediate sweeping shift in your external life. You might think you have to quit your job or relocate tomorrow. While such moves can be part of the journey, they're not always the first step. Often, the initial work happens internally, examining beliefs, making subtle adjustments in daily habits, or gradually testing out new ideas on a small scale. This approach builds momentum from the inside out, ensuring that when you do make external changes, they're rooted in genuine conviction rather than impulsive rebellion. People around you might sense something is off. They might notice you're more contemplative, a bit less talkative during the usual banter. Some could grow concerned or try to distract you from your introspection with common solutions, like suggesting a night out, a new hobby, or a quick getaway. While there's nothing wrong with enjoying simple pleasures, These suggestions can feel like band-aids if you're wrestling with deeper existential questions. It's okay to gently decline and explain you need space to process what's stirring within you. That said, isolating yourself entirely can also be counterproductive. There's power in conversation with those who truly understand, or at least respect, your inner work. It might be a trusted friend, a counselor, or even a like-minded online community. Speaking about your experiences can offer clarity and validation, especially if you feel overwhelmed by the magnitude of what you're unearthing. Just be mindful of whose opinions you invite into that sacred space. The last thing you need is a chorus of skepticism or trivialization. Eventually, you may reach a point where you recognize that this quiet urgency isn't just a phase, it's your life telling you that you're ready for a new chapter, one that demands honesty about your desires, your fears, and your capabilities. The silver sign you encountered might have been just a catalyst, but the real shift was always meant to happen inside you. It's a form of self-confrontation that requires courage. After all, if you truly face yourself, you might feel compelled to change in ways that ripple across every corner of your life. Don't be surprised if this process feels like both a release and a new weight on your shoulders. On one hand, acknowledging the need for change is liberating. Finally, you can stop pretending you're satisfied when you're not. On the other hand, the path ahead can appear more daunting than anything you faced before. But if you trust that you're here for a reason, that your gifts, your perspective, your experiences hold meaning, then this quiet urgency becomes a beacon. It lights up the path that once seemed so dark, guiding you toward a version of yourself that is more authentic, more alive, and more fulfilled than you dare to imagine. Chapter 5. Watching your true self emerge. As you navigate the subtle transformations within, you'll start to notice that a new version of yourself is edging into the spotlight. It's not that you've become a different person overnight. It's more like you're shedding layers of pretense, revealing the core of who you've always been. This emergence can feel exhilarating and unsettling in equal measure. You catch glimpses of confidence you didn't know you had. You sense a deepening clarity about your purpose. And sometimes, in stark contrast, you confront old insecurities that flare up as they scramble to maintain their hold on you. You might wonder if others see this shift too. Often they do, although in different ways. Some might comment that your posture seems straighter or your energy feels lighter. Others might sense a seriousness in your gaze, as though you're more deliberate and careful with your words. Your new self isn't necessarily about loud declarations. It's more about presence. You're no longer content to hide behind routine pleasantries or forced smiles. You speak more honestly, act more decisively, and seek connections that resonate with your evolving spirit. This process of self-emergence brings a unique challenge: the need for boundaries. As you transform, certain people who were comfortable with your old ways might feel threatened or confused. They could attempt to draw you back into old patterns or test whether you respond in the ways you used to. Perhaps a family member tries to guilt-trip you into fulfilling an outdated role, or a friend teases you about your newfound convictions. In these moments, you have to decide if you revert to your old self for the sake of harmony or stand firm in who you're becoming. Standing firm can be lonely work, especially if your immediate social circle isn't evolving in the same direction. You might question whether your friendships or even your closest relationships can withstand the shift. That doubt can weigh heavily, but it's part of the process. Not everyone is meant to accompany you on every leg of your journey. Some relationships will grow stronger as they adapt to the new dynamic. Others may dissolve, leaving space for connections that support your current trajectory. Throughout this period, the theme of silver might resurface in small but meaningful ways, reinforcing the idea of consistency and quiet strength. You might notice your reflection in a silver surface, a mirror, a car door, or a piece of jewelry. This reflection can be metaphorical as well, seeing yourself clearly for perhaps the first time, acknowledging both your flaws and your potential. Each reflective moment acts as a checkpoint, reminding you that you're in the midst of a real metamorphosis. The changes are not purely internal. As your true self emerges, your surroundings often begin to shift. Maybe you feel compelled to rearrange your living space, paint the walls a different color, or clear out old belongings that no longer match your mindset. On a broader scale, You might decide to explore different career paths, sign up for a class you've always been curious about, or even consider relocating if your environment feels too stifling. These tangible actions are outward expressions of your inward transformation, signals to both yourself and the world that you're aligning your life with your evolving identity. Amid this upheaval, expect moments of pure joy. There's a certain liberation in finally giving yourself permission to be who you are, unfiltered. Even small victories like declining a social invitation that doesn't resonate or voicing a long-suppressed opinion can feel triumphant. These victories remind you that you have more autonomy over your life than you once believed. They also reinforce the notion that you don't need to shrink yourself to fit someone else's comfort zone. You likely find fresh sources of inspiration. Maybe you discover music that speaks directly to your soul or literature that validates your internal experience. You could stumble upon communities or online forums of people who, like you, are embracing major change. These discoveries serve as fuel, sustaining your momentum when old doubts seep back in. They also demonstrate that you're not alone. Others are on a similar quest, forging their paths through uncertainty and coming out stronger on the other side. At times, you might grieve the person you were, not because you miss being stuck or confused, but because you recognize that an entire chapter of your life is closing. Nostalgia for what's familiar can tug at your heart, even if you know it no longer serves you. Permit yourself that moment of reflection. You can honor who you used to be without halting your progress. Each past version of you contributed to the wisdom and insight guiding you now. As your true self solidifies, daily rituals become anchoring posts in unpredictable waters. Morning meditations sharpen intention. Evening gratitude lists track the day's subtle miracles. You may start a TRS journal, lauding moments when you acted out of genuine conviction rather than habit. Over weeks, those entries form a map of growth, charting how often you chose authenticity in conversations, how quickly you notice your body's cues, how bravely you decline misaligned invitations. Physical sensations also sharpen. Your breath deepens when you speak truth. Your shoulders tense when you betray it. Paying attention turns your body into an oracle, subtle flutters guiding you toward people, projects, and environments that feed your expansion. In meetings, you'll feel a spark of warmth when an idea aligns with purpose, or a chill when compromise chips at integrity. Acting on those signals in real time becomes second nature, reducing internal conflict and accelerating external synchronicities. Creative impulses surge too. Perhaps you pick up a forgotten paintbrush, start composing music, or outline a book based on lessons you've learned. Creative expression isn't a hobby now. It's a feedback loop, translating inner truth into tangible form. Each piece of art, each melody, each paragraph affirms the self that has been fighting for voice. Meanwhile, the mind grows quieter. Racing thoughts once filled with, "What will they think?" shift to, "How does this serve my evolution?" Self-talk softens from criticism to coaching. You start speaking to yourself the way you wish the world had spoken to you. Patient, that kindness becomes the baseline for how you treat others, magnetizing relationships that mirror your new standard of respect. In the midst of it all, the silent knowledge that you are a chosen one pulses beneath the surface. This isn't about arrogance or a sense of superiority. It's about acknowledging that you have a distinct path, a calling to evolve, to rise above complacency. The very fact that you stepped onto this road marks you as different from those who prefer the comfort of the status quo. While that can be isolating, it's also a powerful bond with others who feel the same call. Together or apart, you share an unspoken understanding that your life's journey must reflect your deepest truths. Over time, you notice that challenges feel less like obstacles and more like invitations to refine, triggered by an old fear. Good. Now you know where light hasn't yet reached. Confronting a difficult conversation? Excellent. It's a stage to practice honesty and compassion simultaneously. Each test affirms that emergence is an ongoing act, not a flash event. Eventually, the line between new self and old self blurs. Authenticity becomes habitual, courage automatic, and alignment common sense. That's when you realize emergence was never about changing into someone else. It was always about remembering, reclaiming, and revealing the truest version of you. a version empowered enough to guide others toward their own unveiling. Chapter 6. Bridging the New You with the World. No matter how strong your inner awakening becomes, life doesn't pause so you can sort it all out. You might still have deadlines at work, family commitments, or financial responsibilities that demand your focus. The challenge is learning to integrate your emerging self with the very real structures around you, so you don't end up living a double life, aligned and awake on the inside, yet caged by old obligations on the outside. Bridging this gap starts with honest communication. If you've been experiencing a personal revolution, the people closest to you need at least some glimpse of what's happening. They might not understand every nuance, but letting them know you're in a process of change opens a doorway for empathy, or at least tolerance. It could be a simple statement. I've been thinking a lot about what truly matters to me, and you might notice I'm making some adjustments. You're not asking for permission, you're giving them context, possibly inviting them to journey with you, at least part of the way. Still, honesty comes with risks. Some might resist, taking your change as a personal affront, as though your growth implies their stagnation. These confrontations can sting, especially if they emerge from people you care about. Yet part of the bridging process involves letting the chips fall where they may. Not every relationship will survive your evolution unchanged. The ones that do might become deeper and more resilient precisely because they adapt alongside you. You'll also face the reality of external demands, even as a chosen one. You're not exempt from practicalities like paying bills or fulfilling certain obligations. The goal is to channel your newfound clarity into these areas, rather than viewing them as obstacles. Perhaps you reconsider your career path, aiming to find or create a role that harmonizes with your evolving values. Or maybe you set boundaries that preserve your energy, ensuring you don't sacrifice your emerging identity to a job or institution that drains you. Over time, the changes you make in these arenas can be the most radical because they ground your transformation in tangible actions. Bridging also means re-examining your environment. If your living space feels cluttered or heavy with old energy, rearranging furniture, repainting walls, or decluttering might help. If your routine has grown stale, introducing small rituals like a morning walk, journaling, or dedicated time for creative pursuits can help you embody your new self in daily life. These adjustments might seem trivial at first glance, but they reinforce that your inner changes have practical consequences. They translate your inner shift into a lived reality. As you integrate, you might still encounter the theme of silver, reminding you to value consistency and authenticity. You could catch your reflection in a silver door handle on the day you muster the courage to speak up in a meeting, or a silver piece of jewelry might find its way to you as a gift from someone who senses you're on a meaningful path. These instances can feel reassuring, like soft echoes affirming you're walking in alignment. It's less about destiny guiding every step, and more about noticing that life supports you in subtle ways when you decide to live authentically. Inevitably, doubts will arise. You might worry if you're losing yourself, or if your changes are superficial. You might question whether your job transition is too drastic, or if your family can handle your new boundaries. Here, self-reflection is crucial. Keep checking in. Am I acting from a place of genuine desire or from fear of what others might think? Is each decision moving me closer to or further from the life I envision? The clearer you are about your motivations, the easier it becomes to filter out noise that doesn't serve you. Another aspect of bridging is learning to navigate social circles that reflect your old interests. While some friendships might drift away, others can be redefined. Maybe you won't see each other as often, or your conversations will shift. This isn't inherently negative. It can be a chance for mutual growth. If you're transparent, you might inspire others to pursue their own transformations, turning potential friction into collaboration. On the other hand, if a relationship consistently undermines your progress, it might need to be let go entirely, leaving space for connections that uplift rather than constrain. Amid all these shifts, remember that progress is rarely linear. One day, you feel like you've mastered the art of living your truth. The next, you stumble into old patterns and question everything. These moments of regression aren't failures. They're reminders that true change involves ongoing effort. Each setback can illuminate areas where you're still clinging to old coping mechanisms. where you're seeking external approval. Over time, these lessons reinforce the stability of your new foundation, making your emergent identity more resilient than the fleeting illusions you left behind. By now, you might notice that bridging the new you with the world isn't a single task to check off the list. It's a continuous dance, an interplay between inner growth and external adaptation. Each time you adjust your environment, schedule, or mindset, you refine that balance. Over weeks and months, you see the shape of your life bend to accommodate the truths you've uncovered. And each silver-hinted sign along the way stands as a small but potent symbol, reminding you that your awakening isn't meant to be a private secret. It's meant to reshape your world. Chapter 7. Stepping boldly into what comes next. After every glimpse of silver, every internal recalibration, and every bridging step, you stand at the threshold of a new horizon. It doesn't matter if you're not entirely sure what that horizon looks like. What matters is that you feel the momentum, the pull toward a future shaped by authenticity rather than routine. By now, the difference is tangible. You're not just thinking about change. You're living it daily, forging a path that honors the chosen one within you. At this point, you might find yourself reflecting on where you started. Perhaps it was a spark in your daily routine, a random silver sighting that made you question your trajectory. Or maybe it was a restless feeling in your core, one that grew louder until you couldn't ignore it. Either way, the journey from then to now has been anything but simple. It involved confrontations with old patterns, tough conversations, and moments of profound doubt. Yet here you are, on the cusp of a phase you can't fully define, but can sense is drenched in possibility. Stepping boldly into what comes next demands continued courage. While you've done much of the initial work of breaking free from old constraints, the future still requires your active participation. Each new day will test whether you truly own your transformation or if you might drift back into complacency. Yet you feel more equipped than ever. You've sharpened your intuition, clarified your values, and found the steadiness in trusting yourself that you once lacked. This doesn't mean you're immune to missteps. It means you know how to recover more swiftly and learn from them. Expect new opportunities to present themselves. Some will make immediate sense, like a career opening that perfectly aligns with your emerging interests. Others might feel baffling, asking you to stretch in ways you never anticipated. In these moments, staying true to your instincts will be crucial. If your gut says a path is right, even if it scares you, it might be exactly the leap you need. If it feels off, even if it looks golden on the surface, you've earned the right to trust that feeling. This discernment is a reward for the work you've already done to uncover who you are underneath the layers of what you were told to be. Connections form a big part of stepping into this new phase. You could meet people who resonate deeply with your fresh outlook, kindred spirits who support your evolution rather than hinder it. Some might arrive as mentors offering guidance that accelerates your progress. Others might become companions, sharing in your victories and offering empathy through challenges. Together, these relationships weave a support system that validates your experience in a world where many choose to remain asleep. Yet you'll also face the reality that not everyone is on board. Some old acquaintances may interpret your transformation as a rejection of them or the past you shared. They might press you with questions like, "Why can't you just be the way you were?" Or, "What's wrong with the old routine?" These interactions can sting, but remember, your growth isn't an indictment of anyone else's choices. It's a testament to your own calling. Offer compassion, but stand firm. If certain connections fall away, they make room for new ones more aligned with who you've become. Another dimension of stepping boldly forward is maintaining the practices that keep you anchored. Whether it's journaling, physical exercise, meditation, or any habit that cultivates self-awareness, these routines become lifelines. They help you discern genuine opportunities from distractions, guiding you to invest your energy wisely. Over time, you might refine these practices or discover new ones that better match your evolving needs. The constant is that you recognize the importance of nurturing your inner world as diligently as you manage your external life. As each day unfolds, you'll likely continue spotting silver in unexpected places at unforeseen moments. These flashes can feel like wings from a world that sees and acknowledges your journey. Rather than dismissing them as mere coincidence, let them serve as gentle affirmations. Each metallic gleam is a reminder that you're different now, and that difference is not a temporary phase, but a lasting evolution. You don't need to chase these signs, nor do you need them for validation. They appear to reassure you that you haven't imagined the changes or their significance. Eventually, you might come to a place where the line between your old life and your new life is so stark that looking back feels surreal. You recall how uncertain you once were, how you questioned every step. Now, though not every question has been answered, you have the assurance that walking your own path was worth the risk. You've tasted freedom from pretense, discovered hidden reserves of strength, and awakened to the real power that a chosen one holds, the power to direct their own destiny. And so you stand on the precipice of another beginning, aware that the journey doesn't truly end. You will continue evolving, learning, and adapting as fresh challenges appear. But this time, you won't doubt your ability to navigate them. That doubt has been replaced by a quiet, unwavering confidence that even if you stumble, you'll rise again, more prepared and more resolved to honor your calling. After all, once you've glimpsed the depth of your own potential, there's no going back to a lesser vision of who you are. The horizon beckons, and you've proven you have the will and the heart to walk forward into the unknown.